Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Right now we're discussing starving in silence. Northern Nigeria's child malnutrition crisis spirals. Child malnutrition is reaching alarming levels in northern Nigeria, especially in states like Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi, and Borno. Over 5 million children are currently malnourished, with many at risk of dying from severe hunger and lack of medical attention. The crisis is fueled by poverty, armed conflict, and poor healthcare access. Insecurity has disrupted famine, while mothers struggle to feed their children due to rising food costs and lack of nutrition education. Despite some support from aid groups, the government's response remains weak. Experts are calling for urgent action to scale up nutrition programs, improve healthcare delivery, and save millions of young lives. Now, joining us to discuss this morning is Jeremiah Kingsley, the editor, Energy Abuja, Deputy Bureau Chief, The Guardian. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having me today.
All right, so we're discussing child malnutrition. First, I want to even say on one of our papers this morning, it was said that in Africa, especially West and Central Africa, there's been hunger, and hunger is, becoming the major thing. And in fact, it says hunger threatens 36 million people in West and Central Africa. Right now, we're speaking on northern Nigeria, seeing how much children are being malnourished, severe hunger in this case. What's your take on this story, the reaction? Because for me, it was quite disheartening, like how children who had nothing, to do with bringing themselves into the world, now they're faced with severe hunger, malnutrition, and some of them even die. What was your own reaction to this?
This is something very sad in the sense that we have the tendency to prevent some of this issue, and we have not been able to do something about it. Though there are other scenarios that affect the issue around hunger and malnutrition, like what we have seen in recent time around the northeast and the northwest region where we have the insecurity issue. So the cases are getting worse compared to what we have seen in the past. And that is an indication that we possibly need everyone on.
Hello, sir. Oh, I think we just lost Kingsley Jeremiah there. Anyways, we've just been speaking about child malnutrition in northern Nigeria, and right now it is spiraling. The crisis is spiraling, and some of the things I wanted to discuss is the fact that we're seeing children, go through this, and I don't know what the government is basically doing about it. I know that in northern Nigeria, we see a lot of out-of-school children because of this. The Amajiri system basically borderlines on this because, of course, children are not going to school. The families don't have enough, and when they don't have enough, they don't even have enough to feed these kids, and it's quite unfortunate. And we've just been speaking on this at the moment, but I know that one thing that is on everybody's mind is, why are we not doing better? This is 2025. Why are we still discussing hunger? It's not like there's famine in the land. Why can't we feed ourselves? What are we even doing with our agriculture sector to ensure that there is enough food to go around for everybody? And of course, finding ways to generate more revenue through that. So I don't know. I think that's the reason why we brought Kingsley Jeremiah on here, just to give us more insights to talk about it, what's going on. And like I said, it's 2025. We shouldn't still be talking about this, and experts are calling for urgent action. But one thing that I know for sure is we always rely on aids. Right, aids are coming to Nigeria, but in a way it's almost like it's stopgap measures, right? After then, what happens? Okay, I think we have Kingsley back. Can you hear me now? We lost you for a second. Okay, fantastic. So you were saying something. I hope you still have your train of thoughts. Please go ahead.
Yes, so I was talking to the depth of the crisis we have within the northern region.
Yeah.
The issue stems from what you find around the insecurity crisis, climate-related issue, and the inability of both the central government and the subnational government to tackle the issue of hunger headlong. Sadly, we know the North to be a major food provider, But at the same time, the northern region faces a lot of crises in terms of providing food for its own people. So these are some serious, very serious problems that we need to find a way to tackle.
Okay, so in tackling this, right, what are some things that you think we need to look at? Maybe if we need an agenda or a plan, how do we get to tackle this?
How do we get started? The federal government has a policy in place which has been for 25 years now, and we have been able to do something substantial in the past 25 years. The issue of hunger and particularly malnutrition for young children is not just...
I think we keep having some network issues with Kingsley, but of course the question I was just asking is how do we get started? Because if we're talking malnutrition for our kids especially, that's quite sad and quite unfortunate. So what do we do? What's the plan? What's the agenda? Because I think every successful government needs to look at these things. How do we ensure that our kids, not even just our kids, the citizens as a whole, you know, they have the basic necessities, and food is one of the basic necessities. You need food to live, let's be honest. If you're not eating right, you're malnourished and you can possibly die. So how do we ensure that we're not allowing our citizens to just die because of something as basic as food, right? So what do we do? What's the grand plan here? What's the government doing about it? I mean, APC is the ruling party, and I wish there was a plan that we can see and say, you know what, come 2026 or come 2027, we want to eradicate poverty, because one of the major issues here is poverty. If people have enough, they can definitely put food on their table, but if I'm not making any money, what do I do? And I know right now we're speaking about northern Nigeria, starvation and whatnot, but like I said, on our papers this morning, even it reads that in Africa, so Central Africa, West Africa, we're dealing with this. All right, Kingsley, I think we keep having some network issues, but please go ahead.
Oh, yes, so we need to find a way to tackle the problem headlong. And like I was saying, the issue of hunger crisis and particularly malnutrition for children is not just about a medical emergency. It's a multi-sectorial approach. You need the Ministry of Agriculture, for instance, to align their program right. You need the Ministry of Water Resources also to align their policies and programs right. You need to make proper provision for electricity to keep vaccine, for instance, in a good shape for children to use. You need to ensure that pregnant women get the right antenatal and then down to the nursing time. So the situation we've seen in the northern region is the fact that because of insecurity, a lot of farmers can no longer go to farm, and so this affects their output. And the current economic reality also impacts their ability to actually buy food and eat. And so this creates crisis for a woman who is pregnant, and then because the formative period of a child's life happen in the womb, and so the necessary nutrient that the child needs, the mother doesn't get the necessary nutrient to pass to the child, and also when the child gets born, nursing that child becomes very difficult. This degenerates back to the kind of cognitive learning that these people get, and so it affects the education of every child. So these are critical issues that move from one generation that has multiplier kind of effect. So we need a level of sectorial approach to tackling the problem. And within the Northern region, another part of the problem is the fact that the mode through which foods are prepared is also something critical that needs to be looked at. There are culture that relate to how certain people, for instance in Kebbi, realize that a certain part of Kebbi make their food in certain way, and then the other region makes theirs in certain way. For the people who make vegetables in such a manner that they don't overcook it, they get more nutrient than the other region whose culture is to cook vegetable until it is overdone. So these are little things that can be done to improve nutrients in the body. So hunger and malnutrition is also not just all about consuming food, What kind of food, what kind of nutrient are you getting from what you're consuming? So these are critical problems that cut across the government aspect, the religious aspect, the cultural issue within society, and what education can do in terms of creating awareness on what people can do to stay alive.
All right, so what's the government's response to this, especially seeing the magnitude and even the urgency of it all? What's the government's response to it at the moment?
We have seen a level of response from the current federal government. The federal government has increased budgetary allocation and also spread their targeted issue around malnutrition in Nigeria. They have gotten involved in a number of ministries that are critical to the issue of malnutrition, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Water Resources, and then the budget we are seeing in the 2025 budget is much more higher than what we've seen in the past. But here's the thing, the budget can't still go anywhere because inflation has eroded the value of what that budget is. The northern states are also increasing their budgetary allocation in the health sector, which is in the recommendation of the World Health Organization as well as the African Union Commission. This has a level of impact over a long time period in terms of what will happen. And that means that if these states are burdened by this kind of crisis, coupled with the insecurity crisis, chances are that they will be voting more money into this kind of sector, and then other sector of economy, for instance, physical infrastructure that you need to see would not be there because they are spending on crises that's possibly will stay for a long time, because the issue of malnutrition in the north has been there, only that it is getting worse. We have also seen situation in Zamfara, for instance, where the government is taking a different approach in terms of safeguarding farmers. This is costing government more on one hand, but if we allow the farmer to go to their farm and do what they need to do, then more people will be able to find food. But the crisis that relates to the issue of insecurity is something very large that we have not been able to tackle over a long period of time. Climate issue is back to the north now. You see the case of flooding in Zamfara sometimes last year. Most of the farmers, while they are running from the security issues, they are also facing the climate issue on the other hand. So we possibly need all hands to be on deck in terms of finding solutions to some of these things. Otherwise, it's a problem. While you hear that it's in the north, it's a problem that will affect the entire country, one way or the other.
Okay, so I know there's certain factors, right? And I want to believe that insecurity is a major factor to this because, it's been said that most farmers cannot even go to their farmlands to be able to grow their crops, right? Because bandits are attacking them. So how would you say that this plays a worsening role in this malnutrition that we're seeing?
Yes, so children need to eat. That food needs to come from the farm.
Right.
The pregnant women also need to eat. That food needs to come from the farm. Somewhere in Zamfara, we realized that in the past, the malnutrition hunger issue are more when during the planting season. During the planting season, the farmers take their seed to the farm to plant, and then the women back at home don't even have anything to eat. So these are critical issues. Sometimes when they are harvesting, they take the best of the farm produce and sell out, and then the woman in the house doesn't even have anything to eat. So these are critical issues. In pursuit of economic gain, one way or the other, they affect the future of their children. And also, you see situations where there is no serious birth control. I saw a woman of about 50 who was giving birth to her 11th child. And wow. The same woman has her daughter in the same facility. Both of them admitted the same time over malnutrition-related issue. Now, you can see how critical some of these problems are getting out of hand. So we need to do a lot. The community need to do a lot. The traditional rulers need to do a lot. So the more you have the insecurity crisis, the more you will find that the problem we keep going on and on, because if you have seen situations where during harvest, a lot of them can't find what they need to eat, or during seed time, they can't find what they need to eat because they are taking the seed to farm. If they don't plant, it means that they won't even have something to stock for the future. So that's how serious the crisis is.
So what are some reforms that you'd like to see to just avert this crisis? What would you recommend now?
What would I recommend?
We've lost Kingsley Jeremiah, but we're just speaking on the fact that in northern Nigeria there is malnutrition and children are having to starve, basically starving in silence. And we've just been looking at some critical factors that contribute to this and what the government can be doing to help, really, because like I said, it's 2025, we shouldn't be having this type of conversations, but sadly in Nigeria, malnutrition is the order of the day, starvation is the order of the day, and poverty is something that that has become our current reality, to be honest, and it's quite sad, it's quite disheartening. We hope that the government can start to put certain reforms to help things get better, and whereby everybody can have that basic necessity of life, and food is one of the basic necessities, so we should be able to afford that. Women and children should be able to have that. Anyways, we were speaking with Kingsley Jeremiah. He's the editor of Energy, Abuja Deputy Bureau Chief of The Guardian, and we've just been looking at this topic. This is how much we can take on the show today. Thank you so much for having the breakfast with me. My name is Rume Paulson. I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Good morning.